What's up, YouTube? I'm back. Episode 9, Motu Merch Man's Merch. Today we're going to talk about buttons, badges, and pins of the universe. We call them buttons. Over in the UK, they call them badges. And I have a variety of buttons, pins, and badges I'll be showing you today. I typically do my YouTube videos once I have the majority of something or everything in a set. There's a lot of buttons out there I don't have. A lot of foreign buttons out there I don't have. So I figured I'd do the video today in hopes of people posting and commenting and sharing with me some of the pins and buttons that they have that I don't have. And I'd love to expand my collection. So first up, we're going to talk about buttons, and then we'll get into pins. I have several different kinds of buttons. Some are power tour buttons, some are toy related, some are from England, some are from Poland, and then we get into the buttons towards the end. So let's go. All right, so first up we have the vintage 1987 Masters of the Universe, the motion picture button. This came out to help promote the movie. Not a terribly rare button, but still a must-have for any collector. Next up we have the Get the Power button by Mattel. I believe this is a Canadian button. It's a vintage button, cardboard style, unlike the one I previously showed, which is more of a tin or an aluminum, but still nonetheless pretty cool piece to have in your collection. The next button I have to share is a Power Tour button, vintage 1987. This came out to advertise the Power Tour, which was out in '87. It featured characters like He-Man, She-Ra, Hordak, Skeletor, all live on stage. It's a very cool piece to have. Next up is a vintage Takara button, made in Japan, 1985. Love the logo on there in Japanese, love the characters. It's a very cool button. A little bit rare, harder piece to find, but definitely a cool piece of Motu merch. All right, the next three I'm going to show are advertising for the TV program. I don't think these are United States, although there's no markings on them. I believe these to be European, but I'm not 100% sure. You have the most powerful star in the universe, He-Man button all by himself, He-Man badge. You notice his stance in this button is the exact same stance as in this button, but this button features Skeletor as well. These are, again, advertising for the show to be on TV. And you have From Eternia to Your Living Room, featuring Tila on that button. These are very cool. I have actually seen a couple others of these that are very, very similar that I missed out on over the years, but very cool pieces. Advertising. Next up from the UK as well, we have the Signal Toothpaste Tooth Defenders pen. Little piece of advertising for the Tooth Defenders. This also came with other merchandise like a poster and other things like that, but the pins, a very cool piece to have. Alright, next up we have two Skeletor pins. Both of these pins were, I believe, giveaways in the Vintage Masters of the Universe UK comic book or magazines. You notice the one on the right hand side, it says 1980, which is an odd year because the vintage merch wasn't available till 81, 82. So that's kind of a strange year to have on there. But nonetheless, very cool pieces and cool giveaways when you were a kid. Imagine getting a vintage magazine and having a really cool pin to come with it. Pretty cool. All right, next up we have a vintage pin from Poland. Super cool pin. I love how crepey it looks. There are several of these Polish pins out there. I only have one in my collection. I'd love to get other ones, but it's made of just a super cheap plastic. But the pin itself is super creepy. I love it. So that's what I have for buttons and badges. Like I said, I know that there's many more of those Polish buttons out there. If anybody has any for sale, I'd love to get them in my collection. Next up, I'm going to show you the pins. The pins are different than a button because the pin actually has like a pin in the back. So I'm going to show you the wide variety of pins that I have. Many characters and several different styles of pins are available out there. All right, the first pin I have to show is a oval rounded enamel pin featuring He-Man in the front, Tila and Man at Arms in the back. Super detailed pin, nice and glossy, great colors. So yeah, there's the first pin. Next two pins I have to show are also enamel pins. You have Skeletor on top and He-Man on the bottom. Very detailed, super nice, glossy finishes. Just really great pins. Vintage. The box, as far as I know, is not vintage, but they all have the little backs in the back of them. Very cool. Next pin we have is another Skeletor pin. A little more detailed description of him on the bottom. It says, "Evil Lord of Destruction." Very cool. I'm assuming they have a He-Man version of that pin, but I have not seen it. So if anybody has the He-Man version, I'd love to see it. And last up, I have a group of character enamel pins. I put them in this large group because they are essentially the same pin, just different characters. So in the back we have He-Man, Man at Arms, Beast Man, Many Faces in the middle, Merman, Mechanic, Evelyn, and Skeletor. To my knowledge, this is a complete set of these enamel pins. If anybody knows of any that I don't have, please shoot me a message. I'd love to see different ones. So that's what I have for buttons, badges, and pins. Like I said, I know there are several other styles of pins out there that I don't have. So the purpose of this video is to show what I have and maybe to get some more knowledge about what's out there. I know there's a whole bunch more of those UK giveaway pins and some of those Polish pins. I actually have a couple pins coming from the Ukraine here, which should be here in a couple weeks. But I wanted to get this video done and posted. So feel free, subscribe and like below. Also, check out Hunting Nostalgia on YouTube and JR's Cards and more. All right, peace out.